What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today I'm taking a second look at I Want to Dance with Somebody, the Whitney Houston story. Uh, you're not going to get intros like that anywhere else, so click subscribe. Um, yeah, it's this is why are you're like, why are you watching this film a second time? Well, the first time was without audio description. I waited until it dropped on Netflix, and when it dropped on Netflix, Sony was like, we can't be bothered. So, but at some point during its run on Netflix, they did put audio description on. Now, did I check this title like every day, all day, every day? No, I did not. So I don't know. I don't know at what point it got audio description at some point. Just like Gran Turismo got audio description at some point. Sony just is lazy. Um, so I was like, well, at some point, and then I noticed it had an expiration date. So it's gone because I didn't put, I'm not putting this out quickly enough. It wasn't even like end of the month. It was like last day on Netflix. Oddly, not the 31st, but right now. I was like, fuck. So, but yeah, I wanted to, so I didn't have to pay for audio description again. I wanted to just watch the film with audio description to see if it changed my opinion on anything. And it really does. Actually, I actually liked the movie more once everything ties together. Um, it really actually did kind of pop more for me. I really like Naomi Aoki's performance as Whitney Houston. I think she does a nice job. Really, the whole cast. The only problem that I really ever had that still carries over from the first thing is Clive Davis is a producer of this movie, and Stanley Tucci plays Clive Davis like he's Jesus, like he is like he has no flaws. He is the nicest human being. He's Santa Claus. He is warm, cuddly. He never does a bad thing. Never says anything wrong. He never does anything. And I feel like that there's too much exertion because uh we're willing to show everybody else like tripping and stumbling, and certainly Whitney making questionable life choices. Like the film doesn't shy away from that. It doesn't like This isn't like a hardcore, you know, Whitney's constantly doing cocaine, but at the same time she does. So it will show like the bumps and bruises along the way from her. And it's not strictly just a Whitney and Bobby movie, so it's not like we get to spend a whole lot of time uh, just in their dynamic. What this film really does well is explore the dynamic of Whitney and Robin, uh, and show Whitney as being a little bit more sexually fluid than I think most of her fans realize that she was. So, uh, that is it's probably a closer representation of Whitney Houston than we get in a lot of biopics. But the Clive Davis thing, it's so hard to sit there and be like, yeah, that's Clive. And that definitely feels like an accurate. I feel like later on, when Clive is gone and they're having to make a Clive Davis biopic, it will not be this. This will not be the takeaway that everybody had about Clive Davis's life. It's just that he has a lot of power, and when you produce the film, when you're in charge of the film, you want to make sure you come out looking like. And there's a point where it's like you can look like a good person, but it also looks like you look a little too good. It's a little too good to be true, and he should have allowed himself at least a moment or two of, well, here's my character flaw. Well, this is what I'm not good at. Well, this is my tough love scenario, or the one time I yelled at Whitney Houston about something. Something in there, but he's always really genial and calm and quiet. And Stanley Tucci is already just kind of a likable actor that everybody loves. So it was just sort of an easy performance. And to me, that kind of like bogs down the film a little bit. Is this We keep checking in on Clive, and every time Clive comes on scene, he's like, "Hey, what's going on? What do you? Oh yeah, yeah, we can look into that. Oh, is that what you want? Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, like he feels I think the film wants to suggest to us that Clive was more of a father to Whitney Houston than Whitney's father was to her. Because Whitney's father in this movie is portrayed as sort of this really sort of egocentrical, uh, I'm the breadwinner, what I say goes type of person who just like exerts his opinions as being the opinion. We're doing it my way or the highway, even though he's not really the person that has any talent. And at a certain point, when Whitney is the one making the money, she doesn't need him anymore. Like, what is his point? Like, what purpose does he serve? So he's exerting far too much control without actually having like a skill set to do anything with. So I'm not I'm not saying in the great debate of who should be her manager, should it have been her father or her best friend Robin, who also has no discernible skill set, but he has way too much of an opinion on himself about that. Robin at least is coming at it from the approach of, oh, this will be fun. I don't know how to do this, but I'm going to work really hard to do it for Whitney instead of for myself. Whereas you get the opinion from her father that he's never really doing it for her. He's always kind of doing it for himself. Even with the payout scene, where she's trying to cut him, and he's like $100 million. That's what you owe me. It's like, this is why the Culkins stopped. Like we had this huge thing with them, with their parents. Trying to fight for custody. We should make a movie about that. About how the parents were trying to when they had a divorce. It was a really messy divorce. And I think it's largely the reason why Macaulay stopped acting, if we're being really honest, was because he was being used as a tool in his parents' divorce, as like it's not like who gets the house, it's like who gets the money, who gets the kids, who gets that lifestyle. So that was kind of the struggle. And he was the biggest of the three at the time. And I think it affected him more than Kieran and Rory, which is why Kieran and Rory were easier to sort of continue on acting wise, because they didn't have a profile. So they ended up in things after Macaulay had sort of dropped off the face of the planet. Granted, yeah, Macaulay Culkin came back with like Party Monster and Saved and stuff like that. But, when you have that kind of dynamic coming from your parents, it makes it really hard. I think, especially even at a younger age, Whitney has this from her father at a much older age, and she still is clearly affected by it. So maybe that's what they're trying to do with Clive, is be like, well, he's a surrogate father for her because her dad is a dick. I don't know. We've got a Bobby Brown in here that's fine. I don't really. It's not a Bobby Brown biopic, so I didn't really expect much from. So the time there is okay. I thought it was good. I mean, actually, I had less problems with it the second time around. I liked it more. It does rely a lot on the music. It's like, let's stop and listen to this great Whitney Houston song. Like, this amazing Whitney song. Like, the ending of the film is like, the last 5 minutes are just that. They pitched this medley of songs for Whitney to sing. And it's just that. It's like the whole thing. It's like 3 songs. And then it plays out the movie. And then and then you get the text at the end of like, Whitney Houston died on 2012 and at the age of 48 and all that kind of stuff. So, audio description filled in the gaps a lot more. I think one of the really interesting things that I liked, which I thought was kind of amazing considering the ubiquitousness of Whitney Houston, is that, and I talk a lot about how we don't get a lot of ethnic and racial description in movies anymore. The audio description for this actually points out what Whitney Houston looks like, even racially. They let you know she's black, like, from the beginning. Like, and I think that that's so, uh, like, it's like if we can do that here, then why can't we do it everywhere? You know, because it's not even something that I would have picked up on otherwise. Because I'd have been like, well, I think people who are watching a Whitney Houston biopic know Whitney Houston is black. I think, and the movie talks a lot about, like, openly in the dialogue about, you know, her as a black artist, and how people don't see her as that because she's being played sort of on mainstream radio. And there's a she has sort of like a crisis moment where she's like, am I doing enough? Do I need to do more R&B stuff? You know, like, um but so I mean, like, even if you didn't get that, even if you didn't know who Whitney Houston was, you would pick it up from the audio, from the dialogue. But the fact that they actually were so consistent about the audio description across the board that they even let us know who Whitney Houston was when we first meet her in the film, I think that to me is really intriguing. So uh, I'm 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 oddly impressed by that, I should say. So yeah, I really enjoyed watching this with audio description the second time around. I'm gonna delete my other review so you won't be able to find it, because there's no point. It's me bitching about the lack of audio description on this on Netflix, and it's like, well, it's there. So and now I've seen the film with audio description, so I can officially grade it. It doesn't have to stay unwatchable like every other film is. So, what is my official grade now for Whitney Houston? I Want to Dance with Somebody. I don't know. I liked it. My honest to God biggest problem is I just think the Clive Davis thing is a bit much. Like, really, dude, you are not that perfect. Like, every time he comes in the room, it would be like if you did a biopic with somebody like from American Idol, is produced by Simon Cowell, and like, you know that this dude says mean shit all the time, but yet he's every time he comes in the room, he's like holding a puppy, and you're just like, and he's just like really nice. He's like, oh yeah, you need to take some time for yourself. You need rest. That's what you need. Can I get you a glass of water? You'd be like, who is this Simon Cowell? This is not like, show me something. Um, so yeah, I it also doesn't really deal with his bisexuality, which he talked about in his own biography recently, which they had the opportunity to do. Like, they could have, but again, that's like the Clive Davis movie that I think will come at some point. We'll be able to tackle that. So that whole thing. So, but yeah, I'm gonna give Whitney Houston, I Want to Dance with Somebody, a B plus. Stanley Tucci does a nice job with this version of Clive Davis, but it's just not. It's just weird. So yeah, I enjoyed it. So thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I will see you guys on the other side.